My name is Lavigne Kirkpatrick. I am running for Collier County Commission District 4. I have lived in Collier County for 18 years. And actually, Collier County is the place that I've lived the longest my entire life. Most of the time I moved like every couple years. My father was not in the military, but he was a football coach, so we moved quite often. Presently, I work with Avow Hospice. I have been a registered nurse for over 30 years. I've been with them about 10 years. And I also serve as the chair of the Florida Board of Nursing. The Florida Board of Nursing is the regulatory agency that is in charge of all of the nurses in the state of Florida. And we have right now over 550,000 of them. We do the discipline, the education, and licensure of all the people in the state of Florida. I'm also very involved in the community. I sit on the Collier Senior Resource Board of Directors, and we are going to be opening a senior center this fall in the Golden Gate area. I've worked with the Champions for Learning, the Education Foundation, and I also have served on the Health Service Committee for ITEC and for Lorenzo Walker, and done a lot of other volunteer work with different organizations. And the reason I'm really running for office, because a lot of people ask that question, that seems to be the top question. I'm not really running to be the commissioner. I really have kind of lost my confidence in government. And really, whatever political side you're on, I think we're starting to question government, and I really believe that. I think we need principled leaders. I think people have lost their principles. We need principled leaders, decision makers, and people who are problem solvers. I'm hoping to restore the confidence of the people here in Collier County. This will be a full-time job for me. I will not be doing anything else but being a county commissioner. And I hope to be one of the best commissioners this community's ever had.
Since you're starting running for commissioner, is there something in particular on our county commission that's made you lose confidence, or
I think it's a general sense of from the the federal government all the way down to the state government. But I think there have been some recent episodes of decision making. When we make decisions on a board, we have to first ask ourselves, is this a legal decision? Is what we're doing legal? And we have, I think, approximately 4 lawsuits, and one we're involved in right now in the county, and have in the past. Then you ask, is it an ethical decision? Are we making an ethical decision? And then is it moral? Moral gets to be a little controversy, but I believe that we can improve in those areas. And some of the areas of how we spend money, business decision areas that we make, and it's an overall concept that the government here, the role of the county commission is to be policymakers. They spend a lot of time managing the county. And I think if we organize ourselves in the structure we're supposed to be in, that will help regain some of that confidence and listen to the people. Really listen to what the people have to say, hear their side of the story, and remember that that's why you're there, to serve the people. The money's the people, the decisions you make affect the people. So yes, at a local level too, I believe that.
So far, what are the people saying to you about what they want?
Well, we have a split community. I think the biggest topic is, what are we going to become in 25 years? Do we want to grow? Growth for some people is a real bad word. And we have a split community. My district alone is probably the most diverse. A lot of people don't realize that. We have some trailer issues and some real difficult living situations for people in the east part of Naples and the Bayshore area. And then we have people that are living in multi-million-dollar homes. So it is the most diverse district. You need somebody that can understand both sides of that district. So that's where the question becomes, what do we want to become? Business is very difficult to do in Collier County. It still is. It's improved, but it's difficult. But there's a side of the group of people that's okay because they don't want more business. They don't want more growth. But we have to be a well-blended community. If we become overburdened with residents and not enough commercial and retail, we essentially are going to have some economic problems. And as you see, we still have not caught up on the business side. If you go down in the East Trail, you'll see a lot of strip shopping centers where there are empty spaces. So that's probably one of the things that the people are saying. And we need plans. We may have permitting and different things like that, but we really don't have a plan of what we want the community to be. We talk about diversifying, becoming a medical world tourism center. We talk about that we want to make it easier to start business. So those are some of the things. And beach preservation. We don't have a plan for that. How could we have the people, even in the city council, not have a plan for the beach? It didn't arrive, a few weeks ago. It's been here. I think it's my medical training. We are proactive in the medical field. We make decisions, we make plans. We have what we call care plans. We plan, we set up goals, then we evaluate and reevaluate, and we monitor the progress. We also know that our decisions have consequences. So those are some of the things that I would say have been talked about.
You mentioned beach renourishment, specifically looking back at the most recent beach renourishment and maybe looking ahead to the next beach renourishment. Was the last one done right? How should the next one be done differently? Is there enough money being set aside annually for the type of beach renourishment we need?
I don't think there's enough money. We'll start with that. And then there's a big debate, where do we get the money? I don't really believe in the truck hauling. I don't have all the information. I sat on a lot of the different forums that came into town with the experts. I don't think we've done enough research as to what we should be doing. But logically to me, I think we should get the sand from where it goes. We put it on the beach and then it goes out into the Gulf. Now there's a debate, well, we get rocky, not high quality sand. But eventually, if we do a full beach renourishment and use trucks, it's going to damage other things. There's consequences to doing the truck renourishment. I don't know that if we do dredging, my thought is, why don't we look at some place like Sarasota County? Because they dredge. And why aren't we working with Sarasota County and co-oping and working together with the dredge down the coast and maybe Lee County? I just don't think we've opened up the discussion to bring in the scientific people and say what is the best way to do it. I don't believe that trucking is the best way to do it. And I don't believe we have the money set aside. We still are $550 million in debt. I recently heard we're $51 million now having issues of arrears of maintenance. So we're going to have to look at other options. Beach renourishment is a very, very expensive process.
So there's not enough money set aside. Would you favor extra tourist tax, an extra percentage of tourist tax, or reallocating the tourist tax?
I think we need to look at reallocation. But I will say there are times, and we vote on that, but there are times that sometimes you could adjust that allocation in a moment's time. Back in 2010, we had the BP oil spill. We didn't advertise enough that we didn't have oil on our beaches. And that was right after the downturn. That hit us harder than ever. We had so many businesses close in that time. So the allocation, we should look at putting away for the beach, and I think raising the bed tax is an option. We have some of the lowest bed tax in the state of Florida. And it's important to note that the bed tax is not from the taxpayers who live here, unless of course you spend the night occasionally at the hotels. This is to have assistance from people that come and visit our community. There is an argument of the hotel people, this will turn people away. I'm not really sure if that is really factual. You can use a place like Amelia Island. There's a Ritz-Carlton there. It's not easy to get there, and their bed tax is quite a bit higher. So I think we need to investigate in that. And that is an option, a definite option.
Are there other places that the tourist tax money is going now that you would see taking away from museums, beach parks?
I think that the museums, there's something that we could do to set up a separate accounting for that. And, Mr. Wertz has a point about advertisement. Like I referred back to the time when we should have been advertising. So there's a big complaint we spend too much on advertisement. If we don't have a beach, we won't have to worry about the museums or the advertisement. Let's face it. I mean, we keep talking about what we want to become as a community. My children grew up here. They were married here. They're not living here because they can't. There's jobs that aren't available. But for them, they love to come back here because there's a beach, especially because they're in New England and they come in the wintertime. If we didn't have a beach, what would we have? Our beach, to me, is like one of the top priorities, and our plan for beach renourishment is one of my top priorities. Because for business or for anything, that's what attracts people to come here. And we have to make it a priority. So the scale of what the balance is between the two, I'm not really sure, but the beach is the priority.
So let's say you become county commissioner. Are there certain, is there something that you say, this is the first thing I'm going to introduce when I get there?
That's going to be one of the first things I introduce. We need a plan. And I'm very concerned about the CRAs that we have. We have a CRA in Bayshore, which is in my area, and the CRA in Immokalee, the Immokalee Airport. We are not utilizing the resources that we have. We need to get up to speed, and we've got a CRA with permits, but we need a plan. What do we want the Bayshore Road to look like, Bayshore Boulevard? We need to have a plan, and we need to start working on that. I also will start to try to direct the board in the fact that we need to get out of the management phase and start doing policy. The land development codes need to be reviewed, and we need to be looking at how, that will come into managing how we are going to plan our community. The neighborhood people in their neighborhoods have a right to talk about how they want their communities to be. But if you really ask, where's the plan? They have like growth plans with roads, but what do we want to look like? What do we really want to become? Opportunity Naples has done that a little bit with the Market Street report, but we talk. We've been talking about this for almost 2 decades. I want to put this stuff into action.
You mentioned the county debt, and I know that's something you've talked about before. What are your concerns with it? What do you do about it?
Well, they've decreased it. We have done some of that, and so we have to look at our expenditures. If there's anything that we can streamline, any expenses that we can cut back for that debt. My concern is that we may get into the same issue where we are again, where we're collecting a lot of impact fees, so we decide that we're going to start to build all these other things, and then we don't have money for maintenance. So I don't have all the answers for how we're going to decrease the debt. I have to fully look at our 900-page budget, but I think that we can consolidate some things. I think that we can talk to the county employees. We miss a lot speaking to the employees who actually work for the county. I bet you they might have some ideas of where we're spending money we shouldn't be. So I think those are some areas that we can look at, because you have two cases. You either bring in more revenue or you decrease your expenditures. And we may be getting impact fees because there's this kind of growing, but impact fees can only be used for capital improvement, and that's where people sometimes get confused. Now, we have borrowed money, put impact fees in, and borrowed against it. We've got to stop the cycle of borrowing money, too, if we're going to do things. So we have to be careful with that. But those are the 2 ways that I would try to put more into paying that debt down as much as possible.
To say there's a spurt of growth, a period of growth, perhaps in the eastern part of the county, and you just need infrastructure, you need whatever it is, roads, water, whatever it is, to accommodate that. Is it better to just wait until you've got the cash on hand and do it, or is it better to borrow the money, build it now, and then pay for it over many years for facilities that are going to last many years?
Right. Well, I think that sometimes you have to do that. The concept of impact fees is that's what that is supposed to be doing, and it doesn't always cover that. If it's a necessity and you need it, we have to prioritize what do we really need. We need roads, we need access in and out, we need water supply, we need the electricity going in. What are the other things that we really need? Could we start out with a median a little different rather than spending, $100,000 for trees or stuff in the median? Could we put grass and some flowers? We have to, I think, prioritize what are the most highest priority needs and then go down. I think we set this quality that we need to have in Collier County, which I wholly appreciate, but things cost money. And then once you build all that, and this is the serious part, you've got to be able to maintain it. So your question about how much do we put in the necessary things, and we have to borrow, then we can borrow if we have to for the necessary things. But I think we really need to go through the process and find out what is necessary and what can we wait on or temporarily put in. That's okay. So we've done a lot of things in this community that I don't know that we we still owe money on our water park. We still owe money on our, the Golden Gate Overpass. And I think those have been almost like 10 years. So
But would it have been advantageous to wait 10 years to build the overpass until there was cash on hand to build it?
I think we could have built it, and I think we could have built it for less. That's what I think. I wasn't involved in the process, they didn't call me, but I think we could have. And I mean, an example is the brick overlay. You all have been through there. The brick overlay is beautiful. Let's face it, it's one of the most beautiful overpasses I've ever seen in my life. But then they put a bunch of plants up and covered all the brick overlay. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if you probably could have done something and put the plants up, and it would have been just as beautiful. And these are expensive, and they have to be maintained. I'm waiting for the day that we have to paint that underside of that overpass. It's huge. It's like a battleship. So that's one example. And then you have a water park. That's a maintenance. You have insurance. You have liability insurance. You have all kinds of issues with that. So, and then of course we know about the $10,000 desk that was put in the emergency operations center that was never used. That's the kind of things that I'm talking about. I think we need to be. This is the taxpayers' money. We have to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Really have to. For our future generation. We have to.
It sounds like you have an opinion about the current functioning level of the county commission. Can you elaborate a little bit on whether you think the county commission is functioning well or it's dysfunctional?
Well, I think it goes back to the fact that I think they're trying to do a lot of management when they should be focused on policy making. There comes a time when we talk about employee contracts and different items like that, the CRAs, that I believe those roles should be turned over to the county manager. I believe you have a county manager and that's what they're supposed to do, is manage that. I would like to see the airports, I would like to see the airport authority, the CRAs, all report, and the EMS director to the county manager. That's what his role is. Because unfortunately what happens is it tends to become political. And then decisions are based and made on politics rather than on what's the right thing to do. So I know there's a combination, and I think what you're really trying to refer to is there's a 3-2 combination, or there's a certain number of people that vote a certain way, and will there be blocks of voting? For me, that'll never happen because I'm an independent thinker. I serve as the chair of the Florida Board of Nursing now, and we have a very split board. We have probably half Democrats, half Republicans. And we saved the taxpayers $5.5 million, and we improved the nursing education. And we actually, that was in the Kirkpatrick rule that they joke about, kind of, it's not joking, but it was improving the education of nurses to learn about the laws. And it's really about not handling other people on the board. It's really about learning how to be an example to the rest of the board members, showing them respect, showing the county employees respect. The employees come to give you information, and you can accept their information or not. And sometimes we feel forced that we as a board need to vote on something right now. We don't. Maybe we need more information. There's like this urgency. That's not a good thing because there's always consequences. So I'm hoping to bring maybe something different to the board, that we will be able to take our board in a new direction and reorganize how we do business in Collier County.
Is there someone who's served on the county commission in the past that you would like to model your commission performance after?
No. Only pieces of them. I would say that Mr. Coyle has had a great amount of experience. He's very knowledgeable about process and the way things should be done, so I respect him on that. Donna has, I'm giving you the pieces of what I'd like of each one of them. Donna has a sense of heart and compassion for her community. Working with hospice, I kind of feel I have a piece of that. And I would like to always be able to remain humble and focus on the compassion of the community. I think that Mr. Nance has some great understanding about the agriculture. He's very educated in that. He's actually probably the one that's worked most recently in a business. Georgia is very strong-willed, and she does not give up on things that she believes in. And I think sometimes you need to be there for the people in that. I would like the strength of when the people have something they're troubled about to be strong-willed and work for the people. I mean, I do it exactly the way she does it, but I believe that's a strong point to be a person that doesn't give up and doesn't quit on something that's good for the people. And Tom is, he's been on there a while. He has a lot of experience. So they all have different pieces. I don't really know the commissioners from the past. I do know Barbara Berry. She had gone through a real tough time when we had a lot of commissioners that were doing bad things. So I would say she's got some strength there too that you could really learn from. So it's a piece of all of them, really. I would like to be the perfect commissioner combined with all those together, but I won't be perfect.
I've heard the suggestion that we should elect the commissioners by popular vote across the county rather than by districts. How do you feel about that?
Well, in some senses, I think it would be good because you vote on something that affects all of them. But I think what it does is disenfranchise people within their districts. We would have to go through a lot of different changes by statute of how we would do that. But I think that people like to have the idea that they have representation that speaks for them. And I think there would be some pretty strongholds that are elected that would not be representing the people in those different districts. Because it's politics. And this way, at least you get representation from each of those districts.
How would you rate the commission's performance relative to Dan A. Hughes and oil drilling in Golden Gate Estates and Immokalee over the last couple of months?
On the safety issue, because that's what their concern is, I think they did that. I don't know what the scale is, but I would rate them doing a very good job because the number one job of government is to keep people safe. Be it safe roads, safe water, whatever that is the focus. And I think they did a good job at that. I think, unfortunately, we don't have all the information about what's really going on with this oil drilling. I think that it's not the present commission's issue, but this goes back to land development codes and permitting. We should have something in place, like a plan, just like we need a plan for beach renourishment, and we don't have a plan of how we're going to handle oil drilling. We've been drilling for almost 70 years here and have had, that I know of, some of you have been here longer than I have, no real episode of issues with drilling. And I think it's also important to note that the public owns land, which is called Pepper Ranch, where we have two active oil pumping drills there. So there's this concern about the environment, yet we own environmental preserved land that has oil wells that are active on it. So I think they did the right thing. The safety is the number one issue with the people at this point. But we're going to have to get ourselves prepared because this is not going to end. We are going to probably have oil processing and drilling going on.
You brought up the need for a plan in Bayshore, and I was hoping to hear your thoughts. Where do you see the future of that side of town? And I know there's a fight there right now over a racetrack gas station.
Well, the racetrack gas station issue is, as you know, we have another one that also would possibly go up on Golden Gate Parkway. I don't know, you guys know, you're the news, you know that. The Bayshore area, it started out as a cultural art area. I do not believe that the Bayshore Boulevard itself should be nothing but residential and office space. I would like to see some restaurants in there and some things for people to do. And I'm saying this basically from the people that live in that area, from the people in WinStar and the people that have businesses down there. You already have businesses down there. They would like to see it be like a Greenwich Village, a lot of the people down there, and I think that would be kind of neat. They're talking about having a waterway that actually would go taxi from across the bay into Naples and then up the Gordon River, and could also facilitate in the Bayshore area. So yes, residential maybe on the side finger streets, which we're starting to have, But I think that that area should start to become another place for us to go. Maybe we have a jazz club or a comedy club, or we may hopefully have the opera and the other arts there. We've got the gardens down at the end. It'd be really nice to see something like that in that area. And I don't think it's going to be able to be just artists, because we're going to have to bring in some businesses that can make some revenue. But on that front street, that would be really kind of nice.
And the racetracks,
The racetrack is farther up on 41. I don't think it's appropriate for that area. I have spoken to several of the residents there. You know, the residents need to have a say in what they want their community, their streets, their neighborhoods to be like. And we need to listen to them. And in this particular case, would it be appropriate for 41? Probably, but not in that particular area, because there's places that have houses that are on like the higher stilts, you know, for water, and it's like the lights would be in like 24/7. Not the best place. And I think they're talking about putting one at 951 too in Collier Boulevard or whatever out there. You know, and the Golden Gate's going to be an issue because it's a turnoff for I-75. So, but we made a promise to the people when we did that I-75 turnoff that that strip along Golden Gate Parkway would remain residential. When we make a promise, we have to keep it. Unless it's, you know, a safety issue or something. We have to keep our promises to the people.
is there more the county could or should do to take advantage of its airports?
Oh, yeah.
Such
There's no
as?
doubt. Well, I talk about plan. Maybe the word is really vision. I think we've lost visionaries for our community. They're out there, but they get stifled. I think the Naples Airport's the city issue, but the Immokalee Airport could be a place for major import-export of goods. We are at the bottom of Southwest Florida. We don't have a train system coming in. This is a great place for us to be able to bring in and out of goods. And we're not using it, I don't think, for that. There could be some retail space out there. And we are I think that airport has a lot of potential. We are going to be growing out east. It's going to happen. Maybe we're going to have passengers coming in that airport because they're going to be living closer out to that area than coming in.
You just touched the light switch over there. Apologize, if nobody moves in the room,
That's okay.
it takes it that we're not here.
So I could see a lot more things going on with the Immokalee Airport by far.
Have you received financial support from any local organizations, and if so, which ones?
When you speak local organizations, do you mean like
Well, let's just say any organizations. It'll make it easier.
I received some money from the firefighters and paramedic Southwest Florida group. They've actually given me an endorsement. They're the fire union group. I don't remember the fire number, please forgive me. But it's the Southwest Florida Firefighter Paramedic Union Group. I have received money from the Collier County Nurse Practitioners Council and the Collier County Medical Society. I would consider them groups. I remember if I have. I think those are the three main groups.
We're coming up on our time limit. Is there anything we haven't asked you about that you specifically wanted to talk about, or is there just a closing message to the viewers and the voters that you'd like to have?
Well, yes, I think it's really important that we're coming on in a new dawn in Collier County. And we need to have people that have vision. I think that I'm only going to serve 2 terms if I'm elected. I believe that we need fresh new ideas in the community, and that's a promise I have. I think that we've got to restore the confidence in the people. We do that by following through what we promise we're going to do. There has to be a new respect level, a new organization level. We need people that are experienced in what they do, and not just experienced in government, but experienced in working with people every day in this community.